Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post. Hollywood celebrities are going through a new problem right now. The new problem is this. Their production companies that they got investment for are not making money. And the investors that put money into these celebrity companies really should have known better. Now, it's easy to be that kind of guy that goes back and looks after Bitcoin hits $100,000 and say, hey, you should have bought Bitcoin when it was 50 cents. You should have at least bought it when it was $100. Okay, I get that. But this kind of investment doesn't really completely make sense. And they had some really sophisticated investors. Sometimes investment companies just want to be associated with celebrities and they just want to believe their own hype. And in this case, a lot of them really got crushed. Coming from Business Insider, 2024 was a rough year for celebrity production companies in Hollywood and their private equity backers. Who are their private equity backers? Here's a few of them. From Insider, 12 top investors from Blackstone to TPG betting on production studios even as strikes shut down Hollywood. Could you imagine investing in Hollywood during the strikes? Normally in any industry, if there are big strikes going on, if there's a potential for major change, they call it secular change, like that things will be different when the result of this big transition goes through, that is not a time for investors, especially people that don't have a lot of successful experience in that industry, should be putting money into things like this. Things changed a lot after the Hollywood strikes. In fact, even like Hollywood itself has changed dramatically. I've covered it in a number of videos now. There's a production depression going on in Hollywood in California, and it looks like it can't be turned around. Some of the investments these guys made were in production facilities literally in California that have no viable, like even 1 in a million chance of bouncing back. I hope it does so that people get their jobs back. But realistically, because Hollywood has cut back dramatically on TV shows and movies, everything from reality TV to massive franchise blockbusters, there's just less stuff getting made because of that. And because it's much cheaper to film outside of California in other states in the US and in foreign countries from Canada to Romania to the UK to Germany. It just doesn't make sense to put money into production facilities in California. Separately from that, these celebrity production companies, these celebrities don't necessarily know what they're doing. They may have a big following to them, and they may have negotiated good deals with studios to get extra money paid to them as a producer, or if they buy their own scripts, they can develop their own scripts and then bring that deal in addition to them being the celebrity, like attached as a package to the studio. That can be very lucrative when it works out, but it's not working out so well. Not for a lot of people in Hollywood right now. Also from Insider, 17 private equity players making big bets on Hollywood, even as economic uncertainty and strikes roil the entertainment business. Some of the investments these guys directly made were into production facilities that really, just like the below-the-line workers, just like the camera operators and the editors and the sound people and other people who put the actual shows and productions together, were hoping, these investors were counting on production opening up right after the strikes, that there would be a pent-up demand. It didn't happen. And you can understand why the production people who actually work on the productions would expect and hope that it would come right back after the strikes. These investors really should have known better. Coming from Business Insider, 2024 was a rough year for celebrity production companies in Hollywood and their private equity backers. Some celebrity-led production companies struggled in 2024 as Hollywood cut spending. Investments by firms like Blackstone and Redbird were hampered by market shifts. Despite headwinds, companies like Lucky Chap could thrive by diversifying beyond their famous founders. Which is to say, these massive, sophisticated investors were investing money in these production companies, a lot of times assuming that that celebrity would stay attached to the production company, and that because that celebrity was popular at the time, they could bring in all these really terrific, lucrative deals. So it really was like a bet on that specific celebrity being successful, staying popular, keeping off drugs, not getting in trouble, not being found at a Diddy party somewhere. And then if that all happened, and if Hollywood stayed the same with buying unlimited amounts of productions, or maybe even grew, then everything would work out. And people really actually invested in this. Sophisticated people. 2024 was a bad year for the TV and film business, and was particularly hard for a set of celebrity-backed production companies that previously raised large amounts of capital at eye-popping valuations. And these were private equity investors putting money into these celebrity production companies. Let's talk about what a private equity firm is. A private equity firm is an investment management company that provides financial support to private companies with the goal of making a profit. Private equity firms invest in companies by acquiring stakes or percentages of the company, working to increase the company's value, and then selling the stakes at a profit. Selling out their investment to another investor or someone else that might want to take over the company. These private equity companies get investments from other major, larger institutions. Could be pension funds, could be wealthy individuals, could even be other private equity companies just trying to put money to work because they get a fee just for holding on to and investing the money of that fund. So they make money usually no matter what happens, and they make more money if things go well. It doesn't mean they can just throw money around like crazy though. And this, I just don't even see the logic for these investments. There is logic behind these investments. I don't see it. They're not really talking about it. Usually their logic behind any investment is that something else worked out really well in the past, so we're trying to duplicate that success. And there really is nothing wrong with that, but you have to make an evaluation. Like, is this something that's going to continue? Is this something that even can be repeated, or was that just like a lucky fluke kind of thing? It looks like it was a lucky fluke kind of thing. Private equity firms like Blackstone and Redbird Capital Partners poured a lot of money into celebrity-led production companies, making notable deals in 2021 to back Roll-Up Candle Media and LeBron James Spring Hill, respectively. I happen to like Candle Media a lot. I like the executive Kevin Mayer, who runs it, who used to be at Disney, who rolled out Disney Plus and did a lot of other things that were actually quite impressive, but that doesn't mean that they should be just buying out other companies and combining them with Candle Media like in an unlimited way. And that's a lot of what they did. The bet was that their star power would give them a head start in a crowded market, and that streamers' appetite for film entertainment would continue to rise, because streamers would just endlessly buy whatever content these people would make. That was the bet that they made. The investment boom drove a celebrity production company bubble, said Paul Hardart, who directs the Entertainment, Media, and Technology program at NYU Stern Business School. Quote, the prices they were garnering were probably bigger than the market could hold, he said. The candle thesis was, we'll buy all this content, we'll roll them up and sell them to the streamers. But the scale they put into it wasn't justified. To say that they put too much money into just buying up all of this content at literally any price because the streaming services would be so desperate to buy that content. The problem, though, in everything is supply and demand really are related. So if there really was an unlimited demand, there would always be a creation of more supply. And Netflix produces a lot of its own content. And while Netflix will spend a lot of money to produce content, they're not overspending to produce that content. They're actually quite careful about how they're spending money on content. Their budgets are not usually astronomical, so it doesn't really leave room for a lot of inefficiency and overpaying for things. Other streaming services did spend a lot of money inefficiently, but how many years could that really go on for? The cracks in the investment thesis started to show when streamers pulled back on spending and production was hampered by the 2023 labor strikes. Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine fell far short of its profit expectations in 2023, leading parent Candle Media co-CEO Kevin Mayer to admit they paid at the top of the market, which means they paid way too much. Candle Media, which restructured its businesses in 2024 to cut costs, had invested $500 million in the company as part of a Blackstone-backed roll-up strategy. 2024 was grim for many in Hollywood, with new TV series orders down 42% from their peak in mid-2022 per Ampere analysis. When your orders for anything go down, say, more than 10%, that's a dramatic problem. Because in business, when we're making projections, we do tend to expect our numbers to go up and up and up. And it's difficult to anticipate like, oh, the industry might just get this massive change, which is going to cause a lot less sales for us. So let's start projecting a year or two from now that our sales will be down 10%. That's unusual for a business to do. Usually what you figure is that your sales will probably remain level where it's at, and if you have some additional production capacity, maybe sales will go up 5% or 10%, or there'll be some big boom and they'll go up 20%, but you're not projecting zero growth, and you're not projecting like negative growth of 42%. Negative growth of 42% in anything is depression. 2024 brought more damage to some of these celebrity-backed companies. These companies don't have big content libraries and usually depend on streamers' fees. That's meant they've acutely felt the pain when streamers started ordering fewer shows. So it's not like the investors were really putting money into an existing library that generated revenue. You own the rights to The Office, you own the rights to South Park or something like that people are going to be watching for decades and decades probably to come. Well, if you don't, then what do you have? Well, I've got Reese Witherspoon and Kevin Hart. How about that? Okay, sure, here's the money. That's pretty much what they did. Will and Jada Pinkett Smith's Westbrook laid off staff in early 2024 and restructured after struggling to get major deals following the slap episode of 2022, according to Semaphore. Because Will Smith had to slap somebody because that was important for him and he lost control. And if you invested in that company, guess what happened? You lost a lot of money. James's company, Spring Hill, in late 2024, agreed to merge with Fulwell 73, the British TV, film, and music production company behind the shows The Kardashians and Carpool Karaoke after losing $45 million from 2022 to 2023, according to Bloomberg. Spring Hill had been one of the biggest fundraisers in the athlete entertainer space and was valued at $725 million in 2021 after a funding round led by Redbird. The combined company didn't release a new valuation. I was talking with a friend of mine about an entertainment company that a friend of ours owns, and I was suggesting, well, he might just sell a small piece of that for $1 million or $2 million to get a high valuation for the company. And he's like, well, he doesn't really need the money. And you don't always even really need the money, but if you take on money from an outside investor, if they invest, say, $1 million because they want to be in the business and they like you and they want to be in business with you, then that $1 million that they invest, if it was for, say, 5% of your company or 10% of your company, it multiplies the value of your company. So it's actually very attractive. Putting that money in gives you a relationship with a company that can give you even more financing, and it gives you some real valuation that you can say, oh, well, I own 90% of this thing that someone else thinks is worth altogether at least $10 or $20 million. It makes you a multimillionaire overnight. For celebrities, they can be worth a lot of money, but this gives them another value of even hundreds of millions of dollars when they own a large percentage of a company like this. But when the company starts to fail, it doesn't all work out that way. Also, another reason people take on investors is for expertise from the investor, or also because of their network and their contacts to be able to get things done or to grow the company. One media investor said at least one celebrity-led company struggled to raise funds this past year because its reliance on a famous face gave potential backers cold feet. Some industry insiders say the celebrity production companies with staying power will be the ones that move beyond their famous backers. Celebrity founders can't star in everything after all. Well, yeah, that's kind of obvious. It's not just about having a celebrity agree to be in projects that you would finance if you want to. Investors can and do directly invest in specific productions, movies, TV shows, intellectual property. They can do that. There's no reason to invest in the company that manages producing those productions unless you're really confident that that company is extremely capable doing that. Kevin Hart's Heartbeat has expanded beyond projects starring Hart with its development slate. The company also had someone take over as CEO from Hart, who was leading it after its last chief executive left. Dwayne Johnson's company, Seven Bucks Productions, is looking beyond Johnson's persona for success and making a documentary about the comedian Andy Kaufman. One favorite celebrity production company around town is Margot Robbie's Lucky Chap, which has raised no money so far and has just got a big film deal with Warner Brothers after its success with the Robbie starring Barbie. But it's produced other hits that don't feature her at all. Another is Brownstone Productions, the company founded by Elizabeth Banks and Max Handelman, which is behind recent hits Cocaine Bear and Bottoms. Quote, the key is to develop things that they don't have to be in, said a second investor, who also asked for anonymity to protect business relationships. You can only be in so many things. The idea that celebrities can only be in so many productions is something you would think they would have caught on to, like in the beginning of this process. I guess when things are all hot and heavy and streamers are buying things left and right and other companies are trying to buy things for their libraries, it does make sense that production companies could be hot, and with a couple of extra $1 million, maybe these companies could produce a lot more content and serve all that demand. But as we see, the demand is not permanent. Usually demand really isn't permanent unless you can really structure your business like a utility where people always go to you on a constant basis. There isn't a lot of pitching, there isn't a lot of selling because they always need what it is that you have. That's unusual. And it's definitely not what's going on with celebrity production companies. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.